Right, well, we're out on the bike now, riding along. We've got the Carplay going, so it's actually quite nice to see the map and the screen there. I wasn't keen on fitting it to the handlebars, but as you can see, it doesn't really get in the way of the main screen. It's not blocking my view there. So I didn't fit the controller because I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to keep it in this location. But to be honest, it doesn't seem too bad. It's not a bad compromise if I can't get it up there, which is where I would really like to get it. So just one thing I've noticed so far with it being on the Carplay on the Google Maps is the dot in the middle of the screen. So that dot seems to be there all the time. But I want to go home and I want to have a look at these tyre pressures. So at the moment, it's saying the front is 38 and the back is 33, which is peculiar because that's the opposite of what we set them at. We set the front to 32 and the back to 36, so they've either got them the wrong way around on the sensors or it is just miles out. I did notice that the caps on the sensors can screw off to change the batteries, so it could possibly be that we need to just swap the caps over and swap them round front to rear. But at the moment it's basically saying 2 psi higher on one and 1 psi higher on the other, which isn't too bad. It may seem a bit pointless having the tyre pressure monitoring connected to the Aoocci screen when the Voge has them built in already, but you'll find that you can't actually access the ones on the Voge unless you are stopped. Whilst you're riding along, it's not actually possible to enter the screen to show any of the menu at all. So at least with the Aoocci you can see them live as you're going along. So we didn't fit the cameras at this moment, so there's no point going into the camera section. So if we go back to the Carplay, then that shows us the Carplay and Google Maps. Now one thing is, this little spot in the middle seems to remain, so you might want to move that spot out the way somehow to get that out of your vision. So like I said, to be able to check the tyre pressures on the Voge system, we need to have the bike stopped like so. That will then allow you to go into the information. We'll check the information, the basic information. So there you can see it's showing 41.2 on the rear and 35.5 on the front. So that is a lot higher than the 39 and 33 that the Aoocci is showing. Now yes, we think the Aoocci is showing them back to front. The front is the back and the back is the front, so I'll swap those round, but it just seems like it is quite a bit different compared to the Voge system. But it has been reported by many that the TPS on the Voge is pretty inaccurate. Now as you'll see there, the USB on the Voge also cuts off when the bike is not running. That will save your battery, but it's also a bit annoying if you want to set things on the map or stuff without the engine running. If you were to use the wiring harness where that goes to a ignition on source, then you wouldn't have that problem. So let's just see if we can move that dot around. So we can move that dot. So if you put it in that far corner, then it's maybe not going to be as in the way, but that dot will always be on the screen. So I'm going to put it down there, just in that corner. So we can see now as the light's fading, the Aoocci screen is pretty bright. I'm not sure you can see that reflection on my visor, but it's just dusk now and the Google Maps are quite bright there now. So normally the Google Maps changes to a dark map when it's automatically adjusted for nighttime use, We're just at dusk at the moment, but that is quite bright, so I'll have to have a look to see if there's a setting in there to change that to auto dimming. Right, let's just have a look to see if there's a setting here with the brightness. So I know I can turn the brightness up and down like that, but it'd be nice if there was a auto brightness. So let's go back home, go to brightness again. Right, so that just gives you that. Let's go to settings, let's go to auto bright, switch that on. So there we go, so that's made a difference for a start. So the brightness has changed. We'll go back to the maps. So on here, settings, map colours, automatic. So at the moment Google still thinks it's daytime, obviously not aware that in the north of England in the winter it is not always that bright. But the Aoocci has gone to automatic now, which means that has turned the brightness down, and I imagine before we get home the Google will probably have adjusted as well and turned that to a nighttime map. But that certainly took the glare off my eyes, so I'm glad I stopped to change that to automatic brightness. So the screen in that position is actually growing on me. It's alright, I would have preferred it up here, but oh, there we go, look, it's just gone into dark time mode now. That's 25 past 5. It's now gone to a nighttime map. So we'll end that video there. You've seen now pretty much everything that the Aoocci does, and we will get the handlebar control mounted and we'll get the cameras mounted, and I will just keep the screen there for the time being. So I hope you found that useful, and again, if you want to buy one of these screens, then please use the link in the description below and you'll get 22% off, and I will get some commission. That will cost you nothing, but it's a great way to support the channel and just gets me a few pennies for my efforts on these videos. So as always, thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.